It says lifestyle trade-offs.
Everything.
You will sell your soul.
You're listening to Bad Advice Only. This week, your hosts are Nora and Tara. Where's Allie, you ask?
We don't know.
We don't know.
April Fools. She's being a good rat daughter and taking care of her parents this weekend.
Boo. So as always, make sure to follow us, like us, do all the things on Instagram at Bad Advice Only NYC.
We're begging you. I'm trying to take Allie's place.
All right, we've got a rat dropping for you little rat bitches today. If you live in New York, you already know there was an earthquake this morning.
How did you handle it, Nora?
I handled it very well. It went for about 3 seconds. Tara and I just rumbling in it, thinking it's a large truck passing by. And then I said, Tara, I think that's a fucking earthquake. And I grabbed our dog, Tiny Girlfriend, and I ran under a doorway, because I think that's what you're supposed to do. And Tara just ran to the window to watch the people outside.
Yeah, I have a death wish. I think even our listeners know this by now. I have no respect for my own life. And when Nora said, oh my God, I think it's an earthquake, I dropped my child/dog, Tiny Girlfriend, and ran to the window to inspect. People just kept going on about their day.
No one was fazed.
No one was fazed.
But for all the California rats out there who are like, what is this story? It's not a story. There's no earthquakes in New York. Like, the city's not built for earthquakes because all of our buildings are literally pre-war from like the 1920s, and they are falling apart on regular old sunny days. So an earthquake is just not okay in this city.
Okay, so I know this is one reason why you love New York. You feel slightly safer.
I feel very safe. There's no natural disasters in New York, people.
Well, not many, but I hate to break this to you. So I was getting my taxes done today, and my lady asked me about the earthquake and where I was at during it. I guess this is going to be the new thing. Like, where were you?
This is like 9/11. Where were you during 9/11? But
woof. So I said to the woman, oh yeah, I can't believe this. Like, when has New York seen an earthquake? Do you know what her response was?
What?
It was last year.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
I have it pulled up right now. December 2nd, 2023.
I don't believe that. We were here.
Allegedly, there was an earthquake even larger than the one we experienced today just a few months ago. But apparently we didn't know about that one.
I definitely don't believe that, because this earthquake, the people are talking.
I do wonder about your approach.
Mm-hmm.
You ran under a doorway?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that. I think that's what you're supposed to do, is go under a doorway. I'm sure what you're not supposed to do is go to a window, which is what you did.
Oh, yeah. I threw caution to the wind. Again, I don't have any respect for my own life.
So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about some rat finances.
Here's my first thought about finances / New York City. When you tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, your community, all the people, hey, I'm going to move to New York City, what is their first response and reaction?
You're going to be homeless.
Basically, yeah. They say, New York City, it's too expensive. You can never afford to live there.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that we have 9 million people plus the homeless, because I don't think they're getting counted in that million, the 9 million.
All living right here.
Living.
No problem.
There are problems.
There's problems.
Yeah, Nora.
But they're living.
But there are people living.
I don't know where you're going with your agenda, but when I moved to New York, I had $10,000 to my name. I was 20 years old. Did my parents say, that's not enough money? Nope. Did they say New York's really expensive? Nope. No one said shit. I was literally just like, that'll get me by for like 6 months while I look for a job. Mm-hmm. Thank God I found a job within 3 weeks of moving here, which immediately started paying me $36,000.
That's such a good memory of one of our episodes. What episode was that?
It's How to Get a Job in NYC. Oh, yeah. We talk about me negotiating my first salary. Go check it out. But yeah, and I made it work, and I lived in Manhattan, which is crazy, I will say. Uh-huh. And I paid about 75% of my salary to my rent and I lived in a dorm. So
Do you want to clarify?
I made it work. I've clarified on the podcast before. I've lived in 2 dorms in New York. I was a student in New York, never. What other clarification could there need to be?
You're right. You've answered all the questions.
Thank
all
you.
stones have been turned. I get really pissed the fuck off when people are like, oh, I could never live here. It's too expensive. You could never make it work. So I went ahead and did some nerd research, some ratty research, and pulled some data from our most recent census. And I also got really nerdy with it, and I put it into a Gen AI program to ask if I could live off of these salaries and if it could provide me a budget.
Is there still a census? I'm imagining when people knock on the door. I've never been inquired about a census, but I don't know how that works.
This is probably the first one you probably should have participated in. It was during COVID, but you didn't get your mail for 4 years.
Yeah. So you're saying that's when the census came in the mail?
I
never got it.
I filled out the census.
Well, I was here, so whatever New York City says the population is +1, and you got it.
Well, it just reminds me how you owed like $10,000 in taxes because you didn't get your mail for 4 years.
Yeah, that is a gripe I have with the U.S. government. They just alerted me that I owe $10,000 from my 2021 taxes. The current year, listener, is 2024. This is my first notice. It has been 4 fucking years. I hate the government.
It doesn't make sense, Nora. It was mailed to the address that the government has for you.
You never heard of an email? How are we pretending like addresses are the best way to get a hold of people in 2024?
So I just pulled a number kind of out of my ass at first before I started doing some digging. And I just said, hey, generative AI program.
Are you using Gemini?
Mm-hmm.
I love Gemini.
I don't love ChatGPT that much.
Me neither. I think it's
good.
rude.
Okay, Gemini is so much more friendly.
Gemini's so friendly.
And I love that you brought that up because when I put in my prompt, I said, my salary is $50,000 per year. Would I be able to afford to live in New York City? And if so, can you help me with a budget? Not only did Gemini help with a budget and explain some cost-benefit analysis, Gemini was thrilled to help me.
Yeah.
They said, absolutely.
No, Gemini uses explanation points.
Yeah.
And that's key.
It also gave me some warnings, too, of that salary. They warned me and said, hey, this is on the lower end. It could be a little rough out there. You may want to consider a side.
The $50K?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess, listener, we should clarify. We've had to do some years on this podcast since Nora didn't understand the census, but it is 2024. Nora was making $36,000 in 2013. So...
I mean, my rent was $1,500, which is sort of unthinkable now.
You were also stealing toilet paper.
I was stealing toilet paper and food to get by, listeners.
So the answer is yes, you can live off a $36,000 salary if you live in a dorm, which still...
It was still expensive. It's not like it was cheaper to live in a dorm, people. It was nicer, though.
It was way nicer than your next
my first apartment in New York was sick. The dorm was by far the best apartment I've lived in until my current apartment, which me and my sister are making. We're making a lot more money than
significantly
at that point.
more. So yeah, I just pulled this number, $50,000, because I knew you were a $36,000-aire, and I also knew you were stealing toilet paper. So I started with $50,000, and then I was like, okay, let me go back to some data and then do the research. So the median income in New York City, I think we talked about this on one of our episodes, but it's around $76,000, okay?
Wow.
So Gemini gave us a nice little breakdown first. After-tax income, around $5,100 per month.
That's livable. That's
totally
livable in New York, guys.
So they do follow the standard rule of your rent should be no more than 30% of your income.
How much is that?
That's about $1,500.
You could do that. You need a roommate for
You
sure.
need a roommate.
And maybe not in Manhattan, but maybe you could squeeze it out if you lived in like a bunk scenario, like in one room.
Totally.
Or like some people live in like a living room or they split a bedroom in two. If you did that, you could probably do it.
I don't remember if we talk about building walls. Do you want to just quickly explain what that is?
Oh, of course. In New York, there are several services that will come to your apartment and build a wall to split up a room into multiple rooms so that people can do exactly this. It's like there's literal services for it because it's that common. And they make some hilarious layouts of apartments doing this.
Okay, so utilities, $100. I don't know about that unless you have the cheapest Wi-Fi.
You could maybe do that if you're splitting it with someone and you've got the cheapest of everything. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Go on.
Groceries, $300.
I mean, that would, to spend $300 a month on groceries in New York would suck. That would be eating really bad, but you would survive.
Oh, I was going to say the opposite. That's so much money.
No, it's definitely not.
What's our grocery bill, sister?
Oh, now note, all you financial rats, who pays for the groceries in this household? We spend like $150 to $200 for like a week's worth of groceries.
No.
Yes.
I would like for you to budget back a little because that's absurd.
No, that's when we eat good and
Sister,
you love it.
I was living off of $20 a week.
You don't pay me for these groceries.
It's not in my bills.
No, I don't bill you for this. I just assume that because you're so much poorer than me, it would be preposterous to bill you.
Okay, transportation, it's only counting the Metro card, and right now the
$120 a month.
No, it's gone up.
What is it?
It's like $132, dude.
Okay.
And then entertainment and dining is $400.
That's actually pretty good. You could go out like twice a month to like dinner. You could go to dinner twice a month, or you could go to cheap drinks 6 times a month. We're really giving like a really great breakdown for people who want to move to New York.
It's so
like
funny
what your lifestyle
because you're basing it off of your 2024 salary, but and of course this budget. But back in the day, Nora, you could easily have like scrounged together like a cheap happy hour dinner.
You're right.
But now our meals are like $150 a person.
Nowadays, I would never, like, there's just no going out meal that's going to be less than $100.
Correct.
Fact. But I do remember when I first moved to New York and I went to a brunch and it cost $40 and I was like, God damn it, this place is so expensive.
It's going to take me
down.
down.
So you're right. You could live a lot cheaper than what I'm describing. But I think that people's standards, I don't think it's like a me thing. Like, I think that as a society, people's sort of standards for like what is considered a nice experience has gone up like in a ridiculous fashion. Okay. Now you need to go somewhere with like a cute little ambiance and like nice drinks and you take
what's
a
it
picture.
called? The stupid backgrounds.
Photo ops. Yeah, like things have changed.
Yeah, we've turned into little bitches.
Yeah.
Expensive bitches. And we are going to talk about this keeping up with the Joneses and how we've watched, I won't call them friends. I won't even call
enemies.
I would call them enemies.
Our enemies.
We have watched multiple enemies get taken the fuck out by trying to keep up.
Go on with your budget.
Okay. So allegedly you're saving $500.
You know, to be fair, I definitely have a budget from like 2014.
Can you find it?
I'll find it.
Can we post it on the internet?
Oh, for sure.
On the TikToks?
And I remember that it said in my savings category, it was like $36 a month or something was like what I had available to save.
In quotes, save. Yeah. What did you do with that $36?
I saved it. I put it in my little bank account.
What is that fraction of $36,000, Nora?
Like 0.00001%. Guys, but I stand.
This is our richest friend.
Do you want me to rant or not? Because I stand by all my decisions.
Now that you're the richest friend in our friend group, minus shittest pants AJ, sure, rant away, you little $36 a month saver. Just scratching 2 pennies together.
This is my rant. Okay. Is New York too expensive? Absolutely, yes. Should you pay as much as I was paying comparative to my salary and rent? No. That being said, it depends what phase of life you're in. If you're in your early 20s, you have zero responsibilities except keeping your goddamn self alive. You have the tolerance for risk in a way that a 40-year-old with 2 kids just does not. So it's okay to spend a ton of your money when you're 21, whereas it's not okay when you're 30. Spend that money so you can be in the right place and get the right opportunities. That's my rant. Rats, I want you to understand that while we talk about these cheapy days, my sister Tara and I and Allie all do very well at this point. We make good mun, even though we still act like we don't.
And that's how you keep making that mun, as Nora calls it.
You gotta make that mun at some point.
And you gotta live that rat life for a little bit longer.
Right. I rat-lifed for like 7 years in this city.
When
and
are you giving
now,
up rat life?
Well, I still do some ratty things. There's some things that never leave you from the rat life, no matter how much money you accrue.
Okay, what's one thing that stuck with you in rat life?
I mean, stealing the bus every day. I just can't bring myself to pay for the bus when no one's paying for it.
Yeah. Now, I'm getting so bad that I had to take the train today.
Tried to hop it?
I seriously considered it because I was like, if I'm not paying $2.90 for this fucking bus, why am I paying $2.90 for the subway?
Yeah, it's infuriating.
It is. Like, I moved to New York so sweet and innocent that I didn't really understand the concept of stealing swipes and kidney failure. And I were just like dicking around.
That's an ex-boyfriend listener. We talked about him.
Everyone, listeners,
you guys
if you're
are
a true listener,
if you're a fan,
you know
who kidney failure is.
You should know who kidney failure is, and you know who you are too, kidney failure.
All right, what did kidney failure do?
He and I would always like dick around on the subway. Obviously, we were in our 20s. We were stupid as fuck. He had nothing to live for. His kidneys were failing, and he would always want to double up in the turnstile just to play around. But then it dawned on me recently that we're stealing.
Yeah, it's not just playing around when you double up. That's just stealing.
Yeah,
right.
Do you think he's a scam artist? Do you think his kidneys are even failing?
I think he just couldn't pay for the train and he didn't want to hop it. What are other ratty things that never left me? Because you are just completely still a rat.
I'm still a rat?
Yeah.
I don't know. I use hair masks now.
Okay.
What's one of my rat things that I've kept?
Well, I just feel dumb talking about you because everything you do is ratty. Like, you literally are the cheapest person I know.
Are you talking about the shirt?
Yeah, she's currently wearing a shirt. There's just a huge hole in the elbow.
I had an important coffee meeting today, and this is how I looked.
Okay, so a ratty thing I did recently, and it wasn't necessarily to save money.
Was it the principle?
It was just it's a survivalist mindset that came from my ratty days.
Sure.
Which is that I was at a bar and
Was I there?
No, it was like a trashy, youthful bar. And I went to the bathroom and it was like only like 10 p.m. and I noticed that the toilet paper was almost out. And I looked around and I was like, ooh, there's no more toilet paper in here. And I was like, this is a rowdy bar. I don't think they're going to restock this toilet paper. So I noticed a hole in the ceiling. The ceiling had a tile that was falling off.
Nora.
So I took the toilet paper, I rolled up. I wasn't greedy. I didn't take more than I needed. I rolled up the amount I knew I'd need throughout the course of my night, and I tucked it up into the ceiling above the tile that was falling in. So I had later toilet paper.
You know, little rats do that to build their nests. When you pulled that toilet paper out, I bet you nibbles were taken out.
I did it without a second thought. I did it confidently, didn't think a thing of it.
Did you have to stand on the toilet to get up there?
No, it was pretty short ceiling.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was a ratty behavior.
I'm really, like, now that we're talking about it, I'm really having trouble thinking about my rat.
Fucking rat. Okay, let's start with this. Tara doesn't pay for her groceries. And
I didn't know I wasn't paying.
Here's how she gets away with it. She's just like, oh, well, I don't need groceries. Because if you don't cook, I just won't eat. So why would I pay for these? Keeping up with the Joneses is the exact opposite of what these two rats are. You know how everyone's been, like, skincare routining for about 15 years at this point?
No.
I think Tara put on moisturizer for the first time circa 2 years ago. And I have been doing my skincare routine for, like, 10 plus years. She's getting interested now that we live together. And she's like, I want that.
Doing this for 10 years? Yeah. And I still look this good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Catch us at 80 listeners. Anyway. I'm look snatched. Other ratty things.
Okay,
She's not dyeing her hair blonde anymore.
I stopped coloring my hair. I used to keep my hair platinum blonde, but listener, it costs $500 to get your hair done in New York City without a haircut.
That's a good point to our listeners who are listening to that budget and you're like, I could live in New York.
No.
Not if you're blonde. If you need to be blonde, you cannot afford to live here.
You can't. Okay, so here's what Gemini says. Housing is key. Finding rent at or below $990 may require roommates. This is for your $50,000 budget, I think. Yeah.
$900. Oof, not in Manhattan.
Well,
there's just no way.
No, you're not.
You could probably, I'll give you what I think is the cheapest deal in Manhattan.
Go.
You could probably live in a lofted bunk in someone's living room for $1,000.
Yeah.
I that's what I believe is the cheapest option.
I could see that. So thank you, Gemini, for some of this. It says lifestyle trade-offs.
Everything.
You will sell your soul. It said eating out less, seeking free entertainment, and avoiding
you can't eat out if you're making that amount of money in New York.
But I like this. They said, is it worth it? NYC living on this salary is doable if you love the city's energy and are willing to compromise on living space or a long commute, or a disciplined budgeter. And this is one thing that you and I need to call out because we're both really lucky in this way. Do not have significant debt.
Yes, that's a great point. If you're in debt, you probably just shouldn't.
Don't.
If you have student debt, just don't come.
No matter if you love the city's energy or not.
Yeah, I don't think that should be part of your consideration.
I moved here. You mentioned that you moved here with $10,000 saved up. I moved here with $5,000 and no job, just like you.
We need to back up because when I moved here, I was 20. Tara was 26 and had been working for 5 years.
Yeah.
And she lived in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So how'd you save nothing in 5 years?
I saved $5,000. What are you talking about?
The 5,000 was that like what did you get up to in those 5 years? What was like your peak?
What do you mean? Rat life.
Was it 5,000? The number, your net worth.
Oh, my net worth. Well, I didn't track it.
What was the peak? Oh, you don't know?
Maybe like 8,000.
Holy shit. I thought I was doing bad in New York here, guys.
This is Kentucky.
I had literally $15K for 3 years, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking die like this.
I wasn't too worried back then. I was working for a nonprofit making $31,000.
But in Kentucky, that's fine. I feel like that's livable.
You were so type A about money back then, and I guess
I always have been.
Yeah, you've always. I look
love
at our
money.
childhood. You would hoard your cash.
Yeah.
I
got up to $400 as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. What 10-year-old has that I don't know, control?
I know. I wish someone had told me about investing.
Yeah, you could have been.
I would have been Warren Buffett, literally.
Yeah, that's when he started investing rats. See, we may be rats, but we know a thing or two.
We know a thing or two.
I was so free-spirited. I didn't give a fuck. I was doing good charity work for a nonprofit, and I just assumed I'd marry rich. Little did I know my boyfriend was making $35,000 a year.
I must admit as well, and maybe the girls, the Gen Z girls, didn't really or don't think like this, but I will say up until I was 28, I'm 31 right now, up until 28, I did sort of have I'm probably just gonna marry a rich guy, in my head.
Mm-hmm. Mine went backwards. I've digressed. I ran off to Kentucky for a man
and a part-time job.
Listener. It started out as a part-time job. We do need to call out the fact that neither of us had any student loan debt, any debt to our name. So that is huge. I cannot imagine how students or new grads move to New York with debt. Even $10,000
unless you're coming into a high, a really high salary job to start, you're an engineer or a computer scientist.
Yeah,
you really shouldn't do that.
I wouldn't move to California or New York unless I was making at least $200K base.
If you have student debt.
If
you don't have student debt and you're young and
you
in
can
good
move for
health,
$36,000 like Nora.
If you're in good health, young, no responsibilities, you don't have family who's going to need money or something,
mm-hmm.
you can accept a lot more risk, which is basically the position I was in when I was sure, $36,000's plenty, and it worked out in the end. I couldn't have sustained that, but
Yeah, think about all of our healthcare problems now.
Oh my God.
Like, we would be ruined.
That's the thing. My benefits sucked, obviously, when I started, but I didn't go to the doctor either. So.
I was on Dad's healthcare until 26. Thanks, Obama.
Dad kicked me off when I got my job at 21.
No way.
You didn't know this?
No.
Literally?
I was on it till I was 26.
What?
Yeah.
The second I got a full-time job,
Well,
that's
it's
like what Dad
expensive.
told me. He said, congrats. Okay, do they have health care? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, bye-bye. And then I had horrible health care, so I just didn't go to the doctor for like 5 years.
I know we've talked a little bit about my grocery budget when I first moved here. It was like $20 a week. Old Balls, my ex-boyfriend. I think I recently told you his New Year's resolution, and it was more of like a budgeting goal. He had a few resolutions, none of which was to grow a heart, but that's okay.
Uh-huh.
One of his goals was to spend less than $100 per day.
That's psychotic that you would need to spend. Guys,
Absurd.
I'm telling you, I make a good salary at this point in my life. I probably spend under $15 a day. On a weekday, for sure. 10 or less every day.
It's easy to walk out on a Saturday and spend over $100. Easy.
Yeah, for sure. On a weekend, I could easily spend $100 if I go to dinner or something.
Every day, Nora. And I, being significantly younger than him, I was, number one, horrified to know that I've been dating someone for like 8 months at this point.
Throwing hundos out every day of his life.
Yes.
That's
I was like,
so
wait a
stressful.
second. And going back, this is where we digressed. I don't know how you're going to edit this, I'm sorry. But we were talking about how we thought we'd just marry rich.
I never edit it. I just roll with it.
Don't love that. I've gone in reverse. So, yeah, I think Mom and Dad just assumed I'd marry rich. I then, in my mid to late 20s, just started dating Poorzy after Poorzy after Poorzy. These are people making probably less than $36,000 living in New York City because they could never afford to take me out for dinner. Sometimes I got a happy hour drink.
Right.
They would always use the shared Uber where, like, we would be riding with, like, fraternity kids and, like, kids in school. So, yes, now I'm back on track wanting to end up with a semi-equal partner.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm dating this guy, Old Balls, 8 months. He's a grown man, significantly older than me. Do I need to say it again?
He's 50. How old is he? 48.
He's 48, turning 49 this year. Makes good money. And then I find this out that he's spending
That's horrifying.
at least $100 a day, and his goal is to get under that. So does that mean he'd be happy if he was spending $99 a day?
I feel like I need to make one of those what I spend in New York
Totally.
TikToks.
Totally.
And it'll just be me stealing my bus ride, eating all my food at
Ka-ching.
work for free, and then rolling in at home
$0.
and starving through the night.
Because she wouldn't cook for us. So, yeah, Old Balls, his goal was to spend less than $100 a day. I never saw him manage that. Not once.
I also have an aside for the little New York rat girlies thinking about moving here. For girls, it is like your lifestyle could be potentially a lot better because you can go on dates and like at least get a drink or a dinner.
Sometimes.
Whereas if you're a boy, you might just you just can't go out.
And, we should ask our guy friends. We have one, I think that he has it in his monthly budget of how much he spends on dates.
Expensive.
But, yeah, but listener, beware, as the woman that moved to New York with $5,000 and then all of a sudden had a hankering for all these poor men, a lot of times the bill would get split. And it almost financially ruined me.
Listen, you don't have to go for rich guys. You just have to go for a guy with a job. As long as they have a job, they will 90% offer to pay.
90%.
We're talking about Tara's like artist types.
Yeah.
For our youthful rats out there who've got
Sweet
a lot
baby
of time,
dewy
you
rats.
little baby fresh out the womb rats, here's my advice for you if you are a Keeping Up with the Joneses person. Find a hobby to enjoy rather than things to enjoy.
I was going to take it a very different direction with my good advice on bad advice.
Baby rats.
For the youths, yeah.
Time in market beats timing the market, baby.
Yeah, that's
Look it up.
exactly what I was about to say.
No, it's not. What's your fucking
I was
advice?
going to say, get a real job. $50,000 salary. $50,000. I
you can
broke
make
it
that
down.
work.
Go live in Newport, Kentucky, Covington, Kentucky, and buy all the fucking shit you want. Be the coolest bitch
On the internet.
on the internet. Do you know how many people, all these influencers, they've moved from New York and California to places like Utah and Texas.
So they can buy things.
They have massive houses. They have these nice things. They have they're doing the keeping up with the Joneses. They've just relocated themselves to an affordable city. I don't think that they're living within their means, but they've moved to a cheaper place to make it look bigger and better.
Agreed. So if you really, really can't stop caring about things, move to fucking Kentucky and buy yourself all the little Chanel purses you can enjoy and take them to the fucking local TGI Fridays because there's nothing to fucking do there.
Wait, okay, this reminds me. There's these two characters on Instagram right now that the world is obsessed with. I'm going to break this. I don't think you know who they are.
Okay.
Have you heard of Pookie and Jet?
No.
Okay.
I like them.
They're hilarious.
My best friend in high school used to call me Pookie.
Okay. So anyways, Pookie and Jet. It's a couple, a married couple, and she is decked out in jewelry. You know who I'm talking about?
Is it the guy in the wheelchair?
Who are you talking?
There's a couple with a girl, and then the guy
and the girl's really hot, and the guy is paraplegic, quadriplegic.
Yeah, and he's a quadriplegic.
Yeah, and they always do like
I love them.
They're adorable
That's not
together.
Who we're talking about.
No.
Let me tell you, they're so pure. There's gonna be some shit that comes out about them. They're just like on
They're
that
too pure.
list.
They're doing
There's something wrong.
They were on the island, Epstein's.
I'm gonna find out. Do y'all know who we're talking about? It's like the quadriplegic guy in the wheelchair, and then his wife. Tara's like they were on Epstein Island. You heard it here first.
I'll break that news.
Okay, who's Jet and Snoopy?
Okay, Pookie and Jet. I went through, I'm embarrassed to admit it, 2 hours worth of digging on them because they had to be a parody. Who are they? They're this rich as fuck couple. And she's always blinged out. Her engagement ring, it doesn't fit on her tiny little finger. They always do a fit check before they go out. And Jet is just like doofy guy that's always like, Pookie is like, all right, y'all, this is my whatever outfit. And then Jet comes over and he's like, doesn't Pookie look fantastic? And that's literally how he sounds. He'll be holding a martini or something and be like, just look at Pookie. She looks fantastic. They are rich. They're very successful, wealthy people. They live in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay? So there's my point.
Okay.
When we have friends, again, I won't call them friends, enemies, live in New York, and they're plunging into debt to keep up with the Joneses. And I'm telling you, I know someone that bought these heinous fuzzy slippers because they're all the rage 5 years ago, $2,000. She had to ask her mom to pay for her rent.
If you buy shoes over $400, if you're making less than $500,000 a year.
That's exactly the number I was going to say.
That's the ratio. Mm-hmm. If you're making less than $500,000, that's $500,000 a year. $400 is your cap on shoes.
Agreed.
I will not hear it. Those are a terrible investment. Think about how they say a car is a bad investment. Oh, it loses 10%, 20, 50% of the value when you walk off the lot. Your fucking shoes, Tara.
They say that about new cars, not used cars.
Whatever. They're on your feet. You are ruining them every moment of your life. You cannot resell those for more.
Well, there's a certain people that buy Nikes and they won't walk normally in them. Have you not seen this, Nora?
No.
They don't want to get the crease above the toes, you know, in a
got
normal
that
step.
now on my Nikes.
Yeah.
I'm poor because I got the crease,
Yeah.
guys. I didn't know.
Yeah. There's literal videos of the guy taking off one of their shoes to get down on one knee to propose to their girl. Because if they kneeled, they would indent the shoe.
Okay, more to come because this just really scraped the tip of the iceberg. I have so many complaints and things to bitch about when it comes to money, especially in New York City. Thanks for listening, you financially fit rats. We will come back next week with another episode, maybe a part 2. I don't know. We'll see how the cookie crumbles. But in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what we need you to do? We need you to go and hit the follow button.
Take your little paws.
Take your little rat paw and hit that follow button so that you get our new episodes. Because no one gives a shit how many people listen, it turns out. They care about downloads. So you hear all these podcasters saying to download the show. That's why. Because we can't get any money, which it's not what we're in it for. I'm just telling you.
I'm in it for the money.
I mean, I'd like some.
I would like to make some more money.
We're not making any money off this podcast. Just hit the download button. It's free for you.
We're losing money now.
We're losing money.
It's a Friday night, y'all.
It's Friday at 7:30 p.m. Fucking help us.
Help.
See you next time, rats.